Good morning.
Morning.
And Ms. Partlow, it's an honor and privilege for me to be able to have this interview with you because I know that you are running as a candidate for City Council Ward 2. That's
Yes.
correct? Yeah. So it's an honor and privilege for me to be able to have this dialogue with you.
Thank you.
But first, Patricia, and I have to make sure I call you Patricia because I have a tendency to call you Trisha. But
That's fine.
why are you running for the Ward 2 seat?
Well, my community has seen a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and a lot of loss. And I realized that I just can't talk about change, but I had to be that catalyst for change. And I didn't choose Ward 2 because I live in Ward 2. Ward 2 chose me. And I tell you why. I feel like it's time. My whole platform has been about going deeper and bridging gaps. And I feel like it's time for us to get to the root of our problems. And Ward 2, yes, is my home, but it's also, unfortunately, been a hot spot for violence in the city. So we've got to go deeper and find out what those problems are. Why are our young people choosing those particular paths? And running for Ward 2 rep is a calling from the heart, but also a purpose from the soul. And the purpose is to see this community not only thrive, but to be a forerunner in talent and skills from our young people, from our residents. And they'll look at Ward 2 as an example of what Greenwood City can be and really is.
Very well put. And with all that in mind, what would you call a successful first year for you?
I think a successful first year mainly entails in getting to know the people. I can't speak for you, advocate for you, stand for you unless I know what your issues are. The only way I know what your issues are is if I hear them from you. We've already contacted the American Legion, the HUT, and they've agreed to allow us to hold community meetings and forums there. And we plan to do that at least every 3 months, not only for the citizens of Ward 2, but for anybody that wants to come and voice your concerns about what is going on in your neighborhood, what is going on in your city. The other thing, I kind of want to pattern myself after Miss Stacey Abrams, making sure that all of the residents in Ward 2 are registered to vote and they exercise their right to vote because we are working for them.
Great. And to be honest with you, Patricia, if you accomplish that, that would be an awesome first year. Because as my time in Greenwood, I have not ever seen a consistent opportunity for people to speak and let politicians know their concerns. So that'll be awesome. What I've noticed about you, and a lot of people say this, but what I've learned about you over the course of you making your announcement is that I consider you a non-politician. I have not seen you waver once as the person of who I knew you from the very beginning. You're down to earth, you're motivated, you're inspired. And I guess if somebody called you a non-politician, Ms. Partlow, how would you take that? How would you absorb that as being a non-politician?
This can't be about a job or position. This has to come from a passion. When you have a passion, you understand what empathy and sympathy are. I'm not a career politician, but I'm a career helper. And I believe in helping where I can. Being on city council opens the doors to do so in a whole lot of different areas. JFK said, every accomplishment starts with a try. If I can try then there's no telling what I can accomplish in the community. And then there's no telling what we can accomplish together as a community. I want to serve all of the people, outside of what your race is, outside of what any beliefs you have, but I want to serve all the people, making a difference by focusing on what my platform has always been about the violence, about the communication gaps, about the safety of our elderly. I was out in the community, I was talking with people, and I ran across this elderly gentleman. I had to be about in his 70s. And he said to me about his community and his home. He said, I can't afford to move. I have to live here. It's a shame that in our city, our elderly in their latter years are afraid to live in their own homes. And I don't think that should be a concern in your latter years. So we have to look at safe havens for our elderly and how do we protect them.
That's right. Very much. Very much. And Ms. Partlow, the pandemic right now, you know, it's gone from every level. When we start looking at the globally, our nation, our states, and our cities, and of course our homes. But our children's mental health is being really put into play here. You know, we look at the adults but our children, we don't have that communication. Let's talk a little bit. Tell me your views about the pandemic and the children's mental health.
Well, first of all, the reason we're talking about the pandemic is because it's a very now situation. This is what is happening now. And we have to realize that our children, they are going through the same emotions that we are. Adults are concerned about, how do I provide for my family? How do I pay the bills, keep a roof over our heads? And it comes out as irritability sometimes. It comes out just as frustration. But our children who are now, some of them trapped at home, and I don't want to say trapped, but because of the way things are, they have to be at home. They're feeling the same thing. They're feeling the irritability. They're feeling the boredom and all these things. They don't understand, especially our younger ones. Why can't I go to school? Why can't I play with my friends? Why can't I go to sleepovers? I can't see grandma and grandpa like I used to. And then there may be family members who are dying and they don't understand those things. What we got to do is eliminate the mistake of saying they're kids, they'll get over it. Some will, some won't. As a community, we have to see the difficulty they have in concentrating and all of these things. And we have to ensure that the information is out there, that parents have that information of resources that they can go to and get help for their children. And your first line is your guidance counselor at school. They can point you in right directions and give you resources. And one thing, especially for the African American community, we have to get away from the thought that seeking mental help is taboo. It's not. We go to the doctor, get medicine to take care of our physical bodies. We go to the gym to work out, take care of our physical bodies. We have to be mindful of our mental health as well, because a lot of things start with a thought. They start in the mind. So we have to take care of our mental health as well. And that goes for adults and for our babies.
So well put. Well put. Our local government, in my opinion, need to play a role in direct contact with the citizens about the pandemic. You know, we can hear all this information coming from the federal government, also from the state, but how can the local government provide a more vital impact in communicating with the people in the local community? We
have to be honest about what's going on. I think our citizens are a little bit lax because, we see what's happening in New York. We see that on the news. We see Atlanta on the news, the bigger cities, but we don't see what's happening or could happen in our own city. As of December 24th, DHEC said that there was 1,095 new cases. That was pre-Thanksgiving. Now, they haven't come out with the stats post-Thanksgiving because people have traveled, people have had gatherings, and so we don't know what those numbers are going to look like. I believe in being proactive. We need to take the steps beforehand, before this thing gets out of hand in our own city. We can't assume that we're immune to this virus. We're not. And you're right. The thing with local governments, we have the one thing that the federal government is not privy to, and we have speed. The local government can act faster here than the federal can. The local government has a direct line and contact with the people of Greenwood City. So what are some of the things that we can do as a city to offer some type of relief? We have the small business grants for businesses, and we know that businesses have applied for that. Here we are, Thanksgiving just passed, Christmas is coming up. In January, it's tax season. Can we offer some type of relief? Maybe eliminate the penalty, maybe allowing people to set up payment plans for the current year, because the way it's set up now, you can only do a payment plan for the coming year. So there are some things I think we as a city can look at, because, and even before the pandemic, when it comes to our students, even before the pandemic, there were students that had limited technology, and they lagged behind their peers. I think we need to work with, unfortunately, we only have one internet company in Greenwood, but we need to make sure that our students have the resources that they need and the technology that they need, making sure our food banks have the resources that they need. We can't afford to wait till we're in that bind. We have to be proactive and do something now. We need to look at some of these corporate entities that are in our city, even in our county. We need them to be a little bit more, active, and that's active. And come on, we need the money, because I'm sure you got some type of incentive to come here. Now we need you to put back into the community. So I think there are some things that we can do as a city to show our citizens that, look, we care about you. We know what you're going through.
Very well put. And Tricia, I've always been a big fan about corporations taking a social responsibility for the areas or for the counties in which they have their businesses, because as you so well said.
Right.
They already have gotten a tax break. Now we need a break.
Right.
Very well put. Ms. Partlow, this is a little different question here, but I think it's very important for the people. I overheard a congressman proposing a $1,500 payment per person to take the COVID-19 vaccine. And as you know, we got to have the vaccine twice. Do you feel this is a positive approach for Greenwood City?
I do not.
Okay.
Anytime you offer somebody that's already struggling, already in distress, and you put money in front of them, 9 times out of 10, they're going to take it. So here you're offering somebody $1,500 to take a vaccine, and we're still not sure about the side effects. We're not sure about the long-term effects. We have a government in place that has spread a layer of fear and distrust. They took this vaccine and they politicized it. Some people are saying it's been pushed through too fast. Some people say it's not fast enough. There's so much information and misinformation out there, it's hard to believe what. But anytime you entice somebody with money, they're probably going to take it. And here's the thing. How do you trace its effectiveness? Are you paying the $1,500 after the first vaccine or after the second? Because you have to have 2 doses. If you pay after the first, what guarantee is there that people are going to come back and take the second? There are people that have a fear of vaccines. I'm one of them. I took the flu vaccine 1 time, and that was the only time I had the flu. So I won't take the flu vaccine, and anything else that's questionable, it's hard for me to do. But anytime you have people in that situation and you hand them a cracker and it's a saltine, they're going to think they got a Ritz, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Okay. It's not going to work.
Okay. We asked for it. You gave it. That's a very valid point. Our last question, Tricia, I think this is something that, once again, on the educational side of your platform, is so many of our children are at home distant learning, and the question of it is they need a lot more assistance. I know the teachers cannot do it all. What are your views on the distant learning assistance in Greenwood City, or you just say in Greenwood in totality?
I think what we have to realize that with parents who are able to go back to work now, a lot of the children are winding up in the grandparents' home. They're winding up with aunties or uncles or whoever can help babysit. Here's the thing. While they are helping, who's helping the helper? What resources do we have for grandparents and the outside help to make sure they understand what they're teaching? We have to realize that we don't want any child left behind because of a pandemic. When we came through school, we didn't learn core math. I helped with my grandchild, and I had to relearn the ecosystem or whatever. I'm learning about dinosaurs and all this stuff. Yeah. I having to watch Bill the Science Guy videos. But outside of that, there are people who are helping, but they need help themselves. We have so many empty spaces in Greenwood. I know that we can utilize some of these spaces to offer some outside help to the helpers.
Very good. Very well put. Ms. Partlow, there's one thing I'm going to share with the people who would possibly be watching this interview. There's one thing you said to me a while back when you announced, and this really stuck. It really did. You was talking about if you had someone to run against you, or whether you did or you didn't, you would feel like whoever the best, being available for the people, always serving the people, and a community leader for the people is who should represent Ward 2. And that really stuck with me. I mean, it really did, because never once did you even mention yourself or anybody else, but who should be leading. And I tell you, you make an extremely case for being that representative. And keep doing what you're doing. I wish you well. And I just love your your honesty about your issues and how you deal with the people. And right now, we're going to turn it back over to Bill. And great. I wish you not luck, but success.
Thank you.
December 22nd, correct?
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to say, closing?
I just want to say this, whoever the people decide, like you say, to represent them, understand that I can only speak for me. And I vow to make myself, one, available. I vow that we will have these meetings to hear your concern. And I vow to lead not only for you, but with you. This is something we have to do hand in hand. I can't do it by myself, and I don't want to do it by myself. I want to be in my community, interacting with the people, and then we grow from there.
Well, very well put. Thank you.
Thank you.